This is Getting to Good Enough, a podcast to help you overcome perfectionism so you can do more of what you love. I'm Shannon Wilkinson, a life coach in Portland, Oregon. I'm a recovering perfectionist who's getting better at good enough.
And I'm Janine Adams, a certified professional organizer in St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm lucky enough to be naturally good at good enough.
And today is the second part of our two-part habit series, and we're talking about overcoming bad habits. Janine.
Hey, Shannon.
What's going on today?
Today, we're going to eliminate all our bad habits.
All of them, all at once, just like that.
With our magic wand.
Yes. We're magical like that.
Yeah, wouldn't that be amazing?
Yeah. That would be good. But even though there is no magic wand, we do have some ideas that might make it a little easier.
Yes, I'm hopeful that we can be helpful if people are trying to overcome bad habits.
Yeah. And I guess that it might be useful to sort of start with the idea of bad habits. And I want to bring that up because we tend to think about bad habits as having no inherent value, but really there's some need or positive intention behind everything that we do. I'm a firm believer in that. And I think it's the same for what we talk about as bad habits, that there's some need that you're trying to meet or some positive intention, even if you're not getting it, that is behind every habit that we have, every behavior that we have.
Basically, everything we do for to fulfill some need or positive intention. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Yep. And I know we
it.
talked about that. I don't remember which episode it was, but you had a mini rant about it, which was enjoyable. But I know you don't believe in self-sabotage. You believe that we're helping ourselves, and sometimes we're not doing it in a way that's beneficial to us. Is that
right?
Right.
So
I mean, that's huge. To me, this is like revolutionary way to think about bad habits, because mostly we beat ourselves up about our bad habits, when, in fact, what I'm hearing you say is that our bad habits are the product of just trying to help ourselves, and so we can use that intention to help us break them.
Yeah, and the thing about bad habits is that, they can be born out of that intention, but they may grow into something that's no longer supportive, or, at the time that it became a habit, maybe you didn't have the experience or skills or information to do something that actually gave you what you needed. I think about a lot of things like, biting your nails or something, that, those habits that are, they're essentially an attempt at self-soothing. It's to try to take care of yourself in some way, and it could even just be to sort of burn off excess energy, but that the way that you are doing it and have gotten into the habit of doing it results in something that you don't want anymore.
Right. So if you can figure out what the good intention behind the negative behavior is, you can perhaps fulfill that need in a more positive way?
Absolutely. So, that's one of the things about quitting smoking that is so hard, is there's so many things that get sort of solved by most people who smoke, that if you don't address all of those things, then it's going to be exponentially harder for you to quit smoking. It's not just the nicotine addiction that you're overcoming, but it's also the self-soothing behavior of the ritual of smoking a cigarette, of having an excuse to take a break on a regular basis, or to go out by yourself and have some time to yourself. It gives you an opportunity to think or to not think, or, there's all of these things that smoking a cigarette could be providing to you that if you don't replace those things with something else, then it will be really difficult for you to stop smoking.
So even though science has given us Nicorette gum and Chantix or whatever it's called to help with the physical nicotine addiction, that's not what it's all about. There's more to it than that, and you have to address all the components.
Right. And there's a lot of things that go into it. I don't want to oversimplify it. And in fact, I hope that I'm helping people understand that behaviors like that are really multi-layered, and there's a lot of things to address. And so you start sort of peeling those things apart and getting at what need you're trying to meet, and figure out a way to do that feels supportive to you, then it will be easier to break the bigger habit.
Yeah, that's really interesting, and kind of a big deal to me to hear it phrased that way, because I think there's just so much negativity and the word that I keep thinking of is self-loathing. I think that's overstating it, but we beat ourselves up over habits that aren't beneficial, that we don't feel we're controlling. Like, I mean, also, like, I think, not biting your nails, that's a disgusting habit. I thought to myself when you mentioned biting your nails, because I did that when I was a kid, but I don't do it now. But it doesn't have to be so harsh.
Right.
Yeah. It can be gentle.
Yeah, it can be gentle, and the interesting thing is, sometimes, depending on how your brain processes information, the more harsh you are about something, the harder it is to change it. Like, you rebel against that harshness.
Right. Interesting.
So that's the thing that I think that's most important to understand, is to cut yourself some slack and understand that, like, there's some positive intention behind what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of some other things that people categorize as bad habits. Well, and so many of them are things that maybe started as sort of self-care that went awry, like, giving yourself a treat when you do something hard, and that treat could be food or to buy something, and next thing you know, then that feels like you taking care of yourself, and you do more of that, and then it may hurt your waistline or your pocketbook or whatever, but the positive intention behind that is to take care of yourself and reward yourself.
Right. And knowing that you might find other ways to reward yourself that are more beneficial.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. I was just thinking, I've been dealing with this chronic back pain, and when I saw my doctor last week, she asked me if there was anything I was doing, sort of on a regular basis that might be kind of keeping that muscle spasm locked up, and like crossing my legs, which actually, as I'm sitting here right now, my legs are crossed. Even though I know that it is much better for my back if I sit with my feet flat on the floor and without my legs crossed. But it's not like I'm not a bad person who, wants to keep having a back pain because I keep crossing my legs. It's just a habit.
Mm-hmm. Is there a benefit behind the habit a need that's being met by that habit?
With having my legs crossed?
Mm-hmm. Just more comfortable?
Yeah, I think it feels more comfortable. It feels, when you sit up straight, like you have to use muscles that you might not normally be used to using.
Right.
Like, say, your core. And, I haven't done the 30-day plank challenge like you. So my core might be a little, it might be a little uncomfortable for me to sit up straight. But it's that while there is this, kernel of like, I want to feel comfortable, and for whatever reason, crossing my legs feels more comfortable.
Mm-hmm. Feels cozier to me. I do it too.
Yeah.
But it's short-term gain for versus long-term risk with crossing your legs and your back.
Right. But so that sort of brings up a good point about changing a bad habit, an unsupportive habit, is to know what you want to do instead, or why it matters to you. Like, I would love for my back not to hurt. So knowing that not crossing my legs, keeping my feet flat on the floor and sitting up straight over time supports me, having less pain in my back. That's sort of motivating.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And so, sort of figuring out what it is that matters to you, about like what you want instead of the bad habit that you have.
Right. And doing something
that was hard to explain.
So are you saying that getting in touch with why you're doing it, coming up with perhaps another habit, a beneficial habit that you can't do when you're doing the bad habit? I mean, the other way around, a beneficial habit that you do which doesn't allow you to do the bad habit is a one way to get rid of bad habits. Wow. Why is this so hard to say? We had no problem with this when we were chit-chatting about it.
I know. Well, and part of it is that, like with this example, the idea of, like, one of the ways to get rid of a bad habit is to replace it with a good habit. That what's it called in dog training?
Training an incompatible behavior.
Yes. So, in this case with crossing my legs, nothing comes to mind about that.
You could build your core. You could create a habit.
Right, but that isn't incompatible with crossing my legs.
Right, exactly. It just makes it unnecessary.
Right. But there's sort of two things that we're talking about right now. One is like, I think that's why we're sort of twisting up and falling over with this part of the conversation.
Our game of Twister is not working.
But so there's two things. One is to change a bad habit, you create a supportive habit, something that you want, that is incompatible with the bad habit. So an example of that might be if you are in the habit of snacking while you watch TV. If you do something with your hands, then you can't snack. And if you, do needlework or knit, you're not going to want to have your hands in food while you are working with yarn or fabric, or, coloring in a coloring book, or, doing something that makes it difficult to do the bad habit is a pretty gentle way of shifting that behavior. And then the other idea is to think about what you will gain if you no longer have this bad habit. Why not having the habit is important to you.
Take a drink. Because our drinking game of it all boiling down to what's important to you.
I was like, why do I sound froggy?
Like, Is she talking? What is drinking incompatible with? Right. No, I'm just saying it all boils down to what's important to you, and knowing that when it comes to letting go of a bad habit, in particular, I think, is a way to. It certainly helps with good habits as well, but it's a way to be supportive. Yeah.
Right. Right. So, well, I bet you come up against that a lot with your clients. I'm guessing that a number of your clients have an acquisition habit.
Some do indeed, although lots of times the process of decluttering does help them reconsider their acquisition habit. When they're paying me to let go of stuff.
Well, and that's the whole idea, is that they have this habit, they're acquiring things, and then when they bring you in, it helps them get in touch with what they really want, which is, an organized home, a peaceful home that's not cluttered. And so when they can hold on to that ideal and see that they can have that, then that helps them not buy things.
Right. That, and also that they know what they have and they can find it.
Right.
It makes it unnecessary to buy things. But yeah.
Right. When I've pared down my closet and then I go, if I'm out and I see something that I like, a t-shirt or something. I love graphic tees, and it's really hard. If I see one I like, it's hard for me not to get it. But I think, I have as many graphic tees as I have a place to store them. Do I love this one enough to get rid of another one? Right.
And if you do, then great. If you don't, then you don't buy it.
Right.
I tell people to not ever buy new hangers. That if they have used up all their hangers, then let go of something so you can hang something new up. Don't just cram it in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. But so that whole idea of knowing what you'll gain from this, I love that my drawer is, everything fits perfectly in my drawer. I don't have to cram anything in. I can see everything that I have. And if I buy more and don't make room for it by getting rid of things, then I don't have that anymore. I lose that. And so the thrill of adding another t-shirt is lost if that means I don't have the pleasure of an organized drawer.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So that's an example of also of getting in touch with what's important to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and so we didn't even stop and talk about this, but one of the most important ways to start with changing a unwanted habit is to simply identify it and make it conscious. And actually, that can be enough to stop the behavior.
Because people are unknowingly doing things that are making them feel good or supporting them in some way without even realizing it or without even thinking about the fact that it's not really benefiting them.
Right. So, like smartphones, which are basically like little dopamine factories. It's like picking up a slot machine, and you hope you're going to win. You hope you're going to get this little hit every time you pick up your phone, and you get that hit often enough that you keep picking up your phone, but you don't consciously realize that's what you're doing. You don't even, oftentimes I will already have unlocked my phone and be looking at it before I even realize that that's what I've done.
Yeah, I hear that.
And that was one of the things that, we keep coming back to my morning routine, but it feels so transformational, and it's such a good representation of so many things that we're talking about.
Right. It's a great example for us all to learn from, Shannon. Your morning routine.
I'm going to keep talking about it, damn it.
No, but go ahead. What were you going to say about it?
Well, so I had a bad habit that was preventing me from doing my morning routine, which is I would pick up my phone first thing, and then I could very easily, look at the notifications, and next thing you know, I'm on Facebook, and then I'm lost in it, and I've eaten up the time that I had available to do the things I really wanted to do. And it wasn't intentional, but it was a habit. And so I started by I charged my phone on my nightstand. So I moved it. It's just 2 feet further away from me, but I can't reach it without getting out of bed.
Mm-hmm. You don't use it as an alarm, I'm guessing?
No.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I do, but even if I did, I would want it to be far enough away that I had to get out of bed to turn it off. I think you know me in the morning.
Yeah, right. That makes sense.
I don't always wake up so easily, unless I'm having insomnia, and then I can't go to sleep. But
right.
But so I moved it away so that it was just enough to create the space to become conscious about how I wanted to use my phone. Mm-hmm. Like I broke the pattern just enough to have to make a decision. Like, am I going to use my phone, or am I going to do my morning routine that I want to do?
Right. And you did that in concert with feeling the benefits of doing the morning routine. So it helped with that, helped make that decision. Just giving yourself that, whatever, second or two to go from automatically reaching for it to thinking about looking at it.
Yeah.
That's great. You broke the spell. Uh-huh.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a perfect way to put it. And then I added something into my morning routine of checking my heart rate variability, which I need my phone to do. And so then once again, I had my phone in my hand, I was doing this, and then it became automatic to look at the notifications on my phone. And so to prevent myself from falling down that rabbit hole because it didn't support what I really wanted to be doing, I deleted Facebook off my phone.
Whoa.
I know. I just did it last week.
So when you look at Facebook, you're doing it on your computer or your iPad? Right?
Yeah, I'm trying to not even look at it on my iPad.
Uh-huh.
I want it to be a conscious, like I am sitting down to look at Facebook on my computer.
Mm-hmm. That's great. So that sets you up for success because you're removing that temptation of Facebook off, by taking it off your phone.
Right.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So there's lots of temptations involved with bad habits. So thinking about them and how you can remove them, it seems like it would be very helpful. Like if you are eating too much more sugar than, if you're trying not to eat so much sugar, perhaps you can have less sugar in the house.
Right.
Yeah.
You can even just make it harder to get to. Like, moving my phone 2 feet away. Like, if you want to have some sugar in the house, just make it so it's harder to get to.
And then you have to think about, where is it? Or you have to,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not right there wherever you eat sugar.
Right. Or like, I don't even really, sugar is not my issue. Don't get me near a bag of potato chips. But
right.
if I know that if I don't want to eat potato chips, there really needs to not be an open bag of potato chips in the house.
Right.
But if there's ice cream, if I open up the freezer and I see ice cream, I might be like, oh, ice cream, that might be good. But if I don't see, and so then I might eat it whether I really want it or not. But if it's sort of in the back of the freezer and I don't really see it, then I have to actually really want ice cream to get it.
Right, right. You're willing to put a little extra effort and do some Arctic exploration to find it.
Right. Well, it's just that I have to purposefully go look for it as opposed to like opening the freezer door and finding ice cream in front of my face and be like, oh, I could have ice cream, whether that was what I wanted or not.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I would imagine.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I would imagine the same would go for something like wine. If I was trying to stop drinking wine, it would be great not to have any wine in the house at all, or to try not to have an open bottle of wine in the house, which is hard if you're trying to stop drinking wine. Yeah. But yeah, just, I'm not going to go down the street to the cocktail lounge to get a glass of wine. I don't want it that badly. But if it's right there, then I might pour a glass.
Right. Well, and the other thing is you can do moderation too. Like if you want to have one glass of wine, but you're in the habit of, if you have an open bottle of wine, to have 2 glasses of wine, have 1 glass of wine and pour the 1 glass of wine, put the stopper in it, pump it full of air and put it away so you can't see it. Right. And so you're creating enough of a barrier that, it's the opposite of creating a good habit. You want to put some barriers in place so it takes more effort, and that also gives you the opportunity. It creates the space for you to think about it and make a conscious choice as opposed to just doing it automatically. Right. That breaking that spell sounds like a really key component. I like how I'm talking to you like I don't have any bad habits and have no experience in breaking them. I just don't like to think about them, I guess. No, I don't know. But that breaking that spell just seems just being a little mindful, like allowing yourself the space to be mindful and think about this thing that otherwise would be automatic. The virtue of good habits is, the fact that good habits become automatic is one of their virtues, but the fact that bad habits are automatic makes them harder to break. So trying to make them less automatic seems like a really great idea. Yeah, and you can also do that just by naming the habit, which helps you make it more conscious. So, and this is a good thing if you have like a worry habit or, something that's more internal as opposed to like a physical habit, like biting your nails or something. Although it can be good for that. Now that I'm saying it, it can be really good for anything that you sort of don't realize that you're doing. Once you realize it and say, oh, I'm, doing my XYZ habit, then that also creates that space where then you've interrupted the pattern enough that you can't do it in quite the same way. You can also use that if you're trying to change something and you have the urge to do the old thing. If you have the urge to bite your nails and be like, oh, I'm having an urge to bite my nails. What do I really need in this moment? Wow. That's a powerful question. That's excellent. Yeah, so I think the real key to changing unhelpful habits, to break bad habits, is to become aware of them and figure out what it is that you really want, and put that in place, and then put up some barriers to the old habit. Right. That sounds like that you make it sound very simple. Well, obviously, it's one of those things that the steps are simple, but it's definitely not easy. Right. Exactly. And then if you can find a good habit, a beneficial habit that's incompatible with the less beneficial habit, and start putting that into place, so that can help you along the way as well. Yeah. I think it's really good for people. I think it's useful for people to recognize that that these unhelpful habits, these quote unquote bad habits, don't say anything about you as a person. They're not about willpower. They're not about, they're, even though we're using the terms good and bad because that's, just sort of how our culture refers to them, they're not really good or bad. They're helpful or not helpful. They're supportive or not supportive. And so just recognizing that it's a habit and there are steps you can do to change it will make a big difference. You're not a bad person.
Right. Try to take the emotions out of it.
Right.
Right.
It helps a lot.
Kind to yourself. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and like I said in the last week's episode on good habits are hard to change. Even completely innocuous habits, like I mentioned, the changing the passcode on my phone. Like doesn't say anything about me as a person. It doesn't, it's not good or bad. It's not like it says nothing about my intelligence. It's just such a good illustration of how a habitual pattern works. Like you're doing it before you even realize you're doing it. And that's why it's useful to find ways to give yourself that little bit of space to become conscious about your behavior.
Excellent.
Yeah.
That's terrific.
Well, I think that sort of, as much as we can cover that in a half an hour or so.
Yeah. I'm hopeful that people will. I feel like you've given people a real takeaway of, identify a habit that you want to change and some steps in order to change it. It's great.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Thanks. And I think my parting words will be cut yourself infinite slack.
Yes.
There's so much happening before you're even consciously aware of it that it's sort of a miracle to think that we ever change a bad habit.
Right.
So, go easy on yourself, and that in and of itself will actually bring more ease to the process of changing the habit.
Right.
All right.
Okay, excellent.
Well, I think we're probably going to be talking more about habits and routines and things because they really do make your life easier. But I think that gives everyone sort of a little groundwork of where we're coming from with habits.
Yes.
All right. So we would love to hear from you. What habits are you enjoying? What habits would you like to change? What have you tried to change them? Is there anything we can do to help you? You can leave us a voicemail at 413-424-GTGE. That's 4843. You can also contact us on social media at Getting to Good Enough on Instagram, at GTG Enough on Twitter. On Facebook, we have both a group and a page for Getting to Good Enough. And then, of course, our show notes at gettingtogoodenough.com is a great place to ask questions and share your experiences.
We'd love to hear from you.
So thanks for listening. This is Shannon Wilkinson in Portland, Oregon.
And Janine Adams in St. Louis, Missouri.
And we hope that good enough is getting easier.